Hello, everyone. Welcome. I'm Alana, and I have brought back together three friends who are very big in the gaming space on YouTube to talk about our games of the year. Next to me this way is Ralph, who you might know as SkillUp. Below me here is Yong, who you know from his self-titled YouTube channel. And over here is Jake Baldino, who you will know from also his self-titled YouTube channel. Welcome. How are you guys doing?
Yeah, just excited to dive in because some plenty great games here to dive into, and just, oh man, it's hard to choose. That's the thing.
I think it's been a strange
year. I haven't thought about this until 5 minutes ago.
It has been.
Excellent. It's going to go great.
Totally.
Yeah, I feel like this year has been a very strange year for game releases because there are a lot of games that are really, really good, but are very niche, that are like very specific to, like, I know people who are never going to touch Returnal, who will never get into that kind of game. I think it's fantastic. Metroid Dread is kind of the same. There are certain people who would just never play that game. So we've got a lot of very good games for very like select chunks of people. So I'm just going to throw it straight to you to begin with, Ralph. What's your game of the year?
Oh, man. I actually, to be perfectly honest, and this is not like playing cheeky buggers, I really don't quite know. There's a few that I'm pretty keen on, like they're definitely in my top 5, but I don't have like one specific game. I would say absolutely Valheim is huge on my list. Like,
hadn't even thought about that.
Valheim is the shit. I think of all the games that I enjoyed this year, I think I enjoyed Valheim the most. If the fact that this is an early access, the number of things that it nails, the fact that it's made by 5 people is just out of this world. Incredible. That sense of like discovery and exploration is just my jam, and no game this year has nailed it as well as Valheim. So that's definitely where I'm tending towards. But then I look at stuff like It Takes Two and I'm like, I can't believe people made this. This is incredible. And then I look at Psychonauts and I'm like, Tim Schafer is a fucking genius. My God, how did you do this? You know what I mean? So there's definitely some ones that are bouncing around, but those are the sort of like, they're the ones.
How do you guys feel in general about like the idea of early access games being nominated? Because I remember that with PUBG. I think like it won a game of the year, like after people had been playing it for a really long time, and everyone's like, wait a minute.
But I think they were saying that because it was buggy as hell. Everyone's like, why the hell are you giving this game of the year? It is unplayable.
Yeah, basically. I feel like I don't care. But I don't know.
If it feels complete enough, you know, why not?
Yeah, that's fair.
For my work, it's always just been as soon as they request money and you can give money and get some sort of a product, we're free to evaluate.
Yeah.
And,
Like Halo Infinite's multiplayer, they say it's in beta, but the events are happening, the monetization stuff's live. Like it might as well have launched, even though it's technically beta. So I think it's fair to evaluate that at that point.
Fortnite's been in beta for forever. I don't even know if it's out yet. It's like 6 years or something. Yeah, that's fair.
Warframe was in beta for like 6 years as well.
My God.
So that was the ongoing meme with that one.
I feel like the being able to purchase it is a good way to think about it, because that is when you're doing a service to people to assess it. Like, if they can purchase it, then that's the time where you should be talking about it. That they're going to spend their money on it. It makes perfect sense.
Yeah, like we'll do it with like the sense of like, okay, they're going to fix this. We'll acknowledge those things. Like, we're not going to be like raging assholes, but I still think it's like, if they ask for money, you can kind of, speak critically about it pretty well.
For
sure.
Definitely.
Jake, what's your pick currently, just off the...
Oh boy. So I'm still hashing it out. It's like a sword I slowly forge in like an ice bucket or whatever they do. I watched that show once. Metroid Dread now comes to my top of mind just because it reminded me why I love Metroid. I am, a fan of the series. Not mega hardcore, like I'm replaying Fusion every year or anything. It's been 1,000 years. I played the Metroid Prime games on GameCube, and then that's it. I played the 3DS one, was at Samus Returns a couple years ago, and that started to give me like this is good shit. I forgot. But Metroid Dread really like hammered it home, and it gave me that like, oh yeah, I like old games. I like this style of game. They made it really well. I think it's like incredibly well designed in terms of pacing difficulty, training the player, still managing to do enough to always kind of reward discovery, and playing it on the Switch, I'd fire it up for 30 minutes if I had a chance, and every time I'd still manage to feel like I accomplished something, which was just satisfying. And I thought well designed. The fact that it never points you in a direction, but you can always kind of stumble into the right place. It felt like magic. Yeah. And I really like that. And it made Samus really badass. Like, in just like a really cool portrayal where they just like made her pose cool and do cool shit and blow stuff up and like look away as the explosion goes on behind her. Like, I like stuff like that. Yeah, and cool. Also just a really great like difficulty balance, where it wasn't like oppressive, but it was like, you need to practice this and you need to learn and get these patterns and walk away and come back tomorrow. And then you get it, and it's so satisfying. Like, it's just the right level for me.
This is going to sound like a really dumb thing to say, but the thing that got me about it was the literal sense of dread. The atmosphere of that game, considering what they have to work with, hits so hard. Like, it is effectively sometimes a horror game. It can be very, very creepy and very, very tense. And I feel like they just nailed that from top to bottom, which is just great direction. If you have like that theme be that consistent through every single mechanic and every sound and every setting, that's just a very, very good game director managing to pull something off. I have not finished it yet, though.
Samus also just feels so great to control, so smooth. Just like
oh my God.
dashing her. Like once you get all those like upgrades, and oh man, it's heavenly, honestly, how she controls in this game.
I also always rate a game when I finish it and immediately start replaying it.
Yeah.
And, like that always like ticks up a couple points in my book, and with Dread I did that, so that helps.
That finale was so hype. I love the way the game ends. That's all I'll say.
Yong, does that mean that Metroid Dread is high up for you too?
Oh man, see, this is a struggle. I have a couple in my head.
I like that everyone's like, I don't know. Whereas previously I was just like, it's Sekiro, everybody shut up.
Yeah, and now that Jake brings that up, maybe Metroid should be higher. I don't know, but I say for now, the one that really sticks out to me is It Takes Two. That's the one that gave me that sense of video games are magical when it can accomplish this. That sense of like, wow, like this new thing happening here, and it's just it reinvents itself constantly. This game. And it does so to a degree that I just wasn't expecting out of, an indie title, if you will. It's crazy that just a small group of people made this thing and added so many gameplay elements that all work and kind of are linked together in a really well-paced way. And there's just a constant sense of wonder with that game that I haven't gotten in a very long time. It's just that feeling.
The thing that gets me with that game is they have so many mechanics.
Yes.
How?
It's like, calm down. Stop it. Just calm down.
How
just
did you
it's
scope
like a snowboarding game. It's like a downhill game.
Genres.
Like a Diablo game.
Third-person shooter.
Yeah. And they virtually all feel good. And you're excited to try every new one. It is actually mind-blowing that they have managed to have, I don't know, maybe 20 games in one, that they design systems for every time, that they tutorialize effectively every time so that you understand it with another person.
And there are those like little mini games you can compete with the other player against, all scattered throughout. And those are their own little genres and games within themselves. And it's just there's so much variety in this game, and you're always looking forward to the next thing. And nothing has hit me as hard as that elephant scene. Still nothing this year.
I'm so glad no one ever talks about the elephant scene. It's the most
you're not allowed.
thing.
Move over Last of Us giraffe scene.
Seriously.
Elephant scenes come to play.
It's more like the most traumatic scene of 2021 in terms of video games.
Horrifying.
Is this spoiler, by the way? Are we doing spoilers on this? Are we not? Okay,
I would say no.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Well, then it's impossible to talk about that scene then.
It exists and was mentioned.
It exists and it's fucked up.
Yeah.
When you get there, you'll know.
I would actually be very happy if It Takes Two won at the Game Awards. Though I think I like all the nominees. If it won, I feel like that would be such an unusual pick, literally unusual in terms of previous winners. They're generally always a big narrative single-player experience at the Game Awards. Yeah. And I mean, it's technically not AAA. I mean, it's EA published, but I believe it's part of the Originals program.
Exactly.
Which is awesome. Like, and Joseph Fares, after like how we saw him at the Game Awards last year, I wanted to come back in and fuck the Oscars again, and it'll be great. But I would be stoked if it won, even if it is not my pick for Game of the Year, because I feel like it is such a technical feat. I don't know how that game was made. I don't know how they did it. And then the fact that it's also required co-op and that your second player gets the game for free as well is just awesome.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
It's super impressive.
It's very wholesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want one year. I just want an indie game to take it because so many indie games deserve it. Honestly, at this point, and It Takes Two is really up there among the greats. I think Ratchet and Clank is the one that might take it. Personally, like in terms of like what I think the consensus will be at the Game Awards.
No way. I'm so not. I don't think so. Really?
Who do you think
Are
will
you
win?
hearing that? I don't know, but
I think
honestly
Deathloop
don't know.
will win.
Oh man, really?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Deathloop.
Let's talk
You think
about
so?
that.
Yes, I think Deathloop. So my pick for Game of the Year is Inscription. If you guys haven't played it, Devolver published.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And
I've heard of it.
in a way that I'm like, the fact that none of you have played it is the most exciting news that I've heard all week. Oh my god. So it looks like Magic the Gathering. You start playing it and it's a creepy Magic the Gathering, mechanically very similar. It is a card game until it's not. And there are so many until it's not moments that you're playing through Inscription and you're just like, oh my god. It's
Fascinating.
It's brilliant. I highly recommend you guys try it. It is my game of the year, and it's wild because I just got a code from Devolver. I didn't know what it was. I tried it. I was like, sure, I'll give it a shot. And then I maybe put 6 hours in, and I was like, holy shit! It's really, really, really good. My other front runner is Death's Door, which is also Devolver.
Did not play it.
Also really lovely. Indie-ish. I don't know if they count as indie if they're published by Devolver or published by EA.
I still think
the studio is.
It's an indie label, I think.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
Death's Door was made by a really small team, 2 people,
Yes.
I think.
Like 2 core people and then like 5 or 6 supporting and then like a few more people around that, but it was definitely sub 10 people.
Yeah.
And I think the core of it was like actually 2 people.
Have you played it?
Yes.
How did you like it?
I liked it. I definitely didn't love it as much as other people. I think the soundtrack was incredible. It's probably my favorite soundtrack of the year, actually. Just that piano and the way it carried it. Just feel like the combat side of it just sort of kind of, I don't know. I never clicked with that. I never felt like, I really want to continue playing and fighting stuff. And
That's fair.
I just, you know what I mean? Like, so I definitely liked it a lot, but it's definitely not on my game of the year list this year.
That's fair. I absolutely loved it. Design, story. I love the combat as well. Top to bottom, I thought it was awesome. Deathloop is in there for me too, and so is Returnal. But Inscription is my number one, and I think it's nominated under Indie, but I feel like there's no chance that it gets anything at the Game Awards. It's too small. Like, if none of you have played it, most people haven't played it.
No, but like, I really feel as though everyone that I've spoken to that has played it has said, this is my game of the year, or it's up there. Like, it's definitely got that brand, that kind of like cult recognition that might be able to carry it over the line. Because I'm looking like what else is in that category. In that category is 12 Minutes. Whoa, we'll talk about that one. Kena Bridge of Spirits, Inscription, and Loop Hero, though. Loop Hero did really well at the start of the year. People really loved that one. Hero. No, neither have I, unfortunately. But again, people who played that just loved it. It's kind of like an inversion of the roguelike formula. So I don't know, man. Inscription could have a look in.
It's really
good.
But
that's one that caught my attention. I haven't gotten into it.
You should. Yeah. I mean, I would recommend it to absolutely everybody. Just don't
about that.
Let the initial premise of card game put you off. Not that it would, but I guess some people find that off-putting.
Gotcha.
It does for me.
Play
it anyway.
That's fair. I think Deathloop is going to win just based on the media love.
That's true. It did get a lot of attention.
Weird.
The people who are voting.
So which of you guys have finished Deathloop? Anyone?
Yeah,
not me.
It's a lot of Jake. We both put our hands up. Why did you say anyone?
Sorry, no, wait, hang on. I'm looking at the Twitch thinger, which is delayed. Now I see that there's hands raising. Let's switch over to the live one. That's the way to do it. You can tell I spent a lot of time on Twitch. Okay. Okay, like because I'm only about 5 hours in now, and I'm kind of struggling.
That's the tutorial. Being 5 hours into Deathloop means you are just about to start.
Yeah.
Okay, but look,
it's not my game of the year. It's not mine.
But you think it's gonna win?
I do think it's gonna win. Yeah.
Okay.
And I do really like it.
Yeah. I just because I think I definitely saw some coverage and reviews and stuff, and I think a lot of what was out there in terms of critique of it. I'm definitely feeling, and then I hear that it kind of like the AI is actually ruining the entire experience for me, and I'm like, I can't believe this is the thing that I'm playing through. It's so bad
You can literally
that it actually is just
con.
it's just bringing the entire game down. Like, I actually think there's a really cool, interesting game here if you fix that AI and make enemies like have some identity and whatever else, but also like the puzzles, they're just leading me by the nose everywhere. They're like, go here and do that.
That is
go
my
here and do
biggest
that.
criticism.
Go here and do that.
The
And
AI,
I'm like, what?
I'm okay with because it has to be that way for that game. Obviously, Arcane knows how to make brutal AI.
Yeah.
They definitely do that well and have in the past. In this game, because you are repeatedly going to the same place and seeing the same people, if you were getting your ass kicked every time and it looks exactly the same, it'd drive you fucking nuts when you get to the later stages of the game. The breadcrumbing is my bigger problem, is that they really lead you exactly where you have to go and you just have to find the right terminal sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was a game that I played a game earlier this year called like The Forgotten City, which I really
played it
recommend.
yet. I really want to.
Which I recommend definitely. I had my biggest gripe with it though, and the reason that I struggled to like go, hey, everyone should play this right now, was because that they were basically telling you all the solutions to all of the puzzles all the time, and it was kind of like, let me figure this out, please. Funnily enough, the developer then added like they patched the game and then they turned off those or they had an option to disable those, so it's different now.
But
So
as an Outer Wilds fanboy, can't be having any of that.
Correctamundo. And like at time loop games, it's entirely about like that experimentation and getting, like letting me mess up and figure things out. Deathloop's not doing that for me. But then there's the other end of the spectrum, which was 12 minutes this year, another time loop game. And it's like, dude, what do you want me to do? I don't understand. Do you know what I mean? So there's like a balance there that they need to hit. And right now, as I'm playing through Deathloop, it's not hitting that for me. Definitely hoping that it like catches, like it, that I click with it later on. But certainly that opening chapter is, I'm not gelling with it. You know what I mean?
I do think it takes longer than that first 5 hours.
Yeah,
You do have to get a little further in. And I really enjoyed it. I think the style of that game is really cool. I think the voice acting, the cast is phenomenal. They do such a great job.
Good.
And I think learning
Cole is incredible.
Yeah.
Cole's the dude. He's such a dude.
Yeah.
I love that guy.
And I think the learning about each of the visionaries and why they are who they are, they're all very well fleshed out too. I found that to be like an exciting part of, even if I do think the game is too breadcrumby by the end, that I made up for that in other places. So yeah, I really liked Deathloop. I do think the media love implies that it will take it. I don't know why I don't think Ratchet would win. I think that game's awesome as well, like mind-blowingly fun and beautiful, but it just feels like, I feel like that genre doesn't tend to get that kind of praise.
Maybe.
I don't know, but I mean, I feel like it's a similar genre to It Takes Two and Psychonauts. My personal take on Ratchet is it's so beautiful and it's like, cool and whatever, and but it's just another platformer. Like we've played it many times before. There's not really
It's
any
a very
new
good
ideas
one.
in that. It's a very good one, and I really enjoyed it a lot. But would I put it alongside Psychonauts as like, hey, this is the best that this genre or video games can produce? I don't think they're anywhere near the same league. Like I really don't.
Really?
Oh no, like no comparison.
I mean, because I guess they are. It makes sense to pit them against each other. And Psychonauts is just so creative. It
that's
disheartens me all the time to see the amount of people who are like, "Well, I didn't play it because it's ugly." I'm like, no.
Yes, because I just did a video on that, and like so many comments were like, "Can't watch this game, too hideous." I'm like, "Oh man, come on now."
Poor Raz, look at him go, little ugly guy.
Those people also were the first to go like, "Oh, they don't make games like that anymore."
Yeah.
Here you are being an asshole because it's not blistering 240 frames per second or whatever. Like it doesn't matter. I want to jump.
Jake, removing the conversation from the Game Awards entirely, how do you feel about Ratchet versus Psychonauts?
I think it's an interesting conversation because they're both strange games that those types of things don't always come top of mind for like winners of awards.
Yeah,
But
I'm totally just asking you
like-
personally. Throw the awards out the window.
Yeah, Psychonauts I prefer personally because emotion. There's more emotion, more character building, and more feeling. Where Ratchet made me feel fuzzy a couple times in really nice ways, and I think they did such a good job introducing Rivet and making her not like this annoying extra.
really
Like
did.
it's another Ratchet. It was like actually cool, and she was great, and I want a whole game with her. But I think Psychonauts just really nailed the, no pun intended, but like the brainier aspects, like big time.
Like my personal view is that I think Psychonauts is actually the best written game that I played this year. And
It
what
is
I think
very well written.
What I think made it so interesting is that it's not actually about the dialogue. Its writing comes through in its level design.
Totally.
Because each area is its own sort of like expression of someone's psyche, and it's never explained to you. Like there's never this moment where, you know, like Raz looks at the camera and he's like, well, actually, this is what this level is meant to represent. You know, it's like you are either smart enough.
This is what this level is meant to represent.
That's right. He has like some southern accent now for some reason. But like that is I think what's so great about, you know, Psychonauts. It just trusts you to get it. You know what I mean? And if you don't get it, well, that's up to you.
Or not. Loss. I interviewed Tim Schafer about Psychonauts a while back, and I was like, some of these themes are pretty messed up. How do you feel about the messed up themes in a kid's game? And he was like, what are kids gonna care? Like the kids aren't gonna take the theme.
You call it a kids? You think it's a kids game?
No, I'm not saying it is a kids game. I mean, it's a kid-friendly game. Like I played Psychonauts when I was a kid. Kids would be drawn to it. Yes, that's what I mean. I'm not saying it is a kids game because it can also be pretty tough. But it's like, you know, that I think they don't care about that kind of thing. They're not going to perceive it. You have to pay attention to it.
It's how it goes. Blinks the Time Sweeper was actually about 9/11, so it's.
What? No, that's sarcasm. Very scared for a bit there.
I was like, it's been a long time since I played Blinks. You know,
oh no. You know? My only issue with Psychonauts 2, and I think we might have spoken about this the last time we got together, is the amount of cutscenes. I have always had an issue with when I feel like, especially that gameplay is so fun, like even just levitating on your little ball is so fun. When gameplay is so frequently interrupted for a cutscene, I would way prefer there to be a way that the conversation could be delivered in gameplay. And I feel like Psychonauts 2, the biggest offender of that for me was Metal Gear Solid 4. It was just like you walk a tiny bit cutscene and then a tiny bit more and then a cutscene. I'm like, just choose one. Just pick a fucking side.
Meanwhile, I'm like, yes, more.
Me too, man. I'm like, damn, I have to play now. I can't watch Kojima's vision unfold before me.
I was actually all right with it in Death Stranding, to be honest, because I was like, what the fuck is this? All right, give it to me. Like, I'm down. But it did bother me a little bit in Psychonauts 2 to have to put the controller, like, and I just feel like it's a pacing problem. It's just something that I wish that there were less of them, or that they could have incorporated gameplay into those cinematic moments.
I think it should be celebrated really just because of the miracle of how long it took to make, but also the fact that I think it's bold that they were just like, all right, we made another one. Mm-hmm. Oh, you didn't play that one from 15 years ago?
Matter.
Okay, well, this takes place right after it, and it feels exactly the same. So I did my homework, and I like went back and started replaying the first one. And then jumping into the new one, I was like, wow, they straight up were just like, yeah, here's another one. I think that's cool.
For me, I enjoy the gameplay of Psychonauts 2, but something about the combat or, you know, jumping around feels a little too loose. I don't know. Ratchet and Clank just feels better to play, but Psychonauts 2 is just more creative, I think, with some of its level design and the way the themes are sort of seeped into the levels, visuals, and all that stuff. So
I would agree with that.
It's a tough one for me. I think I like the fuzziness of Ratchet and Clank more. That one's just one that put a smile on my face from beginning to end. But Psychonauts 2 is also, I don't know, the more I think about it, maybe Ratchet and Clank won't actually end up winning.
I just can't see it winning.
Yeah,
I definitely
not
don't.
to say it doesn't deserve it. Insomniac's fantastic, but I just can't see that happening.
Maybe you're right. I think, Deathloop might be it because it has been getting so many it surprised me how many 10s it got from these really major outlets, but I haven't played it, so I cannot speak, you know, to that. But
it's good in a way that's interesting. Like I really enjoyed it, but it's not a game I would recommend to everyone. Like I just have with Inscription. I'm like, play it. Oh my god.
Gotcha. That's me in Death Stranding. I think it's fantastic. I would have to like interview you to see if this is a game for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's totally fair. Well, to take like a hard. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I'm not sure if you were going to pivot towards Resident Evil, because that's the one game we haven't talked about yet.
We have not. I was going to pivot towards Returnal, but we can go Resident Evil.
Oh, okay. Because that's,
I keep forgetting it came out this year because what's the year, you know?
No one knows.
It's been 3 years since it released.
No one knows.
I love Resident Evil and have for a really long time, and I'm just so happy with the most recent Resident Evil releases. I feel like they're like back-to-back awesome. There were some really good parts of RE8. Yeah, how did you guys feel about it?
I don't think it's game of the year,
Not either.
but I still enjoyed it tremendously. And mommy milkers. That's all. Anyway,
That is it. That's the end of the episode, isn't it?
All right, well,
finish up the
Big
show on that
close it
point,
out.
you know,
Vampire
so-
ladies. Yeah.
No,
She's
but,
unforgettable.
They really pull from Resident Evil 4, which, for many
Yeah.
is their favorite. This feels very much, I don't know, Resident Evil 2.0 in first person in a lot of ways, but it's got really cool set pieces. The RE engine just does work.
I know.
That is one of the best engines I think I've seen.
Especially for the genre. It's so fitting
yeah.
for the kind of games that they make.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it surprised me that RE engine was used for Monster Hunter Rise on Switch.
Really?
And it runs so well. Yeah.
Huh.
It's just such a better engine.
Scales
I can feel
well.
it.
No
Scales
way.
well. And it's, they're using it for everything now, and I totally get why. It's just optimized, and it just looks gorgeous. And it's used to great effect in Village. Some of the boss battles I thought were really cool. The Dimitrescu boss battle I thought was really, really awesome.
Yeah, I like that one a lot. Yeah. I also, the sound design, I'd be very surprised if it
Yes.
doesn't win that category. The sound design in that game is fantastic.
It is
That's
excellent.
Returnal.
Yeah,
Returnal
that's
sound
true.
That's
design.
another one. Oh, it's
Returnal
tough.
sound design is unbelievable.
That is true.
Incredible.
I might give it to Returnal on that one. Actually.
Yeah, I feel like my thing with Resident Evil is, well, Resident Evil 7, I feel like they have the same thing. The first part where you're in the 3 houses in 7, brilliant.
Amazing.
The double boat onwards, cut it. Get rid of all of it. It took something that was so good. Like that first house with Jack is burned into my brain. I think I could still draw you a map of that whole house because of how frequently I navigated it and how into it I was when I played it. But then, when it makes you do the boat thing twice and then there's that gauntlet at the end, I'm just like, why have you done this? I don't feel like RE8 was as guilty of that as RE7 was. But I do feel like the latter half, I
agree.
It just is less interesting. After you get out of Benviento, the house, which was awesome. It was very cool to see that.
Oh, the
that
PT
part.
kind of segment. Yeah, that was awesome.
It was really good. Yeah. But after you get out of that part, I feel like it's slightly less interesting beyond that.
Yeah, that's for me why this isn't game of the year for me.
I think same.
For me, it tops out at the castle. That to me was my favorite part of RE8.
Yeah.
And then the house was pretty great. And then towards the end, you get a lot more actiony stuff.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is all I'll say. And I didn't enjoy that part all that much, especially with how overpowered you feel in that segment, and it just takes away from the tension of what RE8 seemed to be establishing and all these things.
It's interesting because, I fully agree that, again, for both games, it's like the first half is perfect.
Yeah.
Like if they had kept that the whole way through, but I almost wonder if it's so intrinsically part of the Resident Evil DNA that you get overpowered as the game goes on, that they are always going to be beholden to that.
That's true, I guess. Even going back to RE2, I mean, it kind of does get a bit actiony towards the end where...
3 for sure does.
3 for sure.
Yeah.
It's true, but I don't know. I think there's a way to scale it down a little bit where you still feel a little vulnerable, but still having that firepower. And I just...
You're running around with an assault rifle at the end.
Yeah, exactly.
It's very different.
I feel like my brain at this point is broken as a Resident Evil fan. I don't even know what I want anymore. I really enjoyed the game when I played it. I was like, this is cool. I got some problems. I got some things I'm looking for. What's the next one going to be like? This was cool. That was cool. But then now coming to the game of the year, it might not crack my top 10, which bums me out. There were so many moments where it was I was excited in the game and then burned, and the whole Chris Redfield, what is he doing? He's awesome. He's hotter than ever. He's smoking a cigarette. He's got a cool truck. We're finally going to know what Chris is doing. The legendary Redfield. And then nothing happens. And I'm like, how many times are we going to keep doing this? I'm 30 now. What are we doing?
When I think
That's
about
so true.
Chris, how do I say this without spoiling it? Just why he did things the way he did, it just makes no sense to me. And that's, to avoid spoilers, that's all I'll say. But yeah, there are narrative elements that just didn't
There's a
quite.
ton of shit that doesn't make sense.
I was going to say the central conceit of that game is putting 4 jars together that,
No, I'll allow that.
Yeah,
I have issues with someone being make sure you're quiet, and then they effectively give you a tank.
Right.
What did you
how?
How am I going to be quiet, Chris?
Just-
What's the plan?
Just stuff
Minor
like
spoilers.
Chris keeping
He's
quiet
hot, not
about
smart, okay?
about certain things.
Yeah.
It's just why so secret. If you'd have told him certain truths, he would have kind of played along, and I don't know, just narratively, his decisions seem really stupid.
I feel like I give a lot of Resident Evil a lot of passes narratively, because they're also very cheesy, like
For
so
sure.
many one-liners. But I like that about them. So I think that I agree with you, Jake. Is that like when I think about it, that's probably one of my fondest gaming memories of this year. I had a really fun time playing through that game. I really enjoyed it. But for whatever reason, I don't categorize it with that esteem. And it's also strange
Same.
because I'm like, I want another one. Keep making Resident Evil. I'd play them annually for a decade. And I'm like, I love them, but I'm not like, but look at Resident Evil. Like PT, I would die for. But that doesn't count. It's
I don't know. Not everything enjoyable has to be game of the year category. Sometimes you just want something that's maybe comfort food level of gaming. And I don't think Resident Evil 8 is quite, it's a little more than comfort food, I'd say, but
Yeah, but it's still really well made.
It's one of the
yeah.
highest rated games on Steam for the entire year.
It makes
Like,
sense.
I think it's actually in top 10 highest rated games.
Dang.
So
I have a comfort
people
food game
love
on my
it.
game of the year list. Do you guys want to know what it is?
Yeah.
yes.
Let's do it.
Chivalry 2.
Oh,
Really?
It's up there in like one of my favorite games of the year just because
Hey.
it was like in between binging all these review games. I would just fire that up and like kill dudes in multiplayer where you just swing a sword and chop dudes' heads off. And I'm not the biggest competitive multiplayer guy. I'm actually like burnt out on how many of these we have in games as a service games and stuff. But I
Yeah.
just kept coming back to that for firing it up, killing a couple dudes, having a good time, even if I was getting my ass kicked, just because like the way the physics work and the blood and the gore, it was just so fun and goofy. And there's like some light progression where, oh, cool, I got a new set of chainmail. Like it just hit just right. And like throughout the year consistently since it released, I just fired it up for like that comfort, that like warm apple pie, like pour a glass of whiskey and just go kill dudes in Chivalry.
It's nominated for best action game this year. Yeah, at the Game Awards. It's Back for Blood, Chivalry, Deathloop, Far Cry 6, and Returnal. So I don't like its chances,
I'd give
but
that
it's
to
got a
Returnal.
nomination, you know? So
It's interesting. I mean, we all gave very, very, very different picks for Game of the Year, which is, I feel like, again, really indicative of this year. I think it's much more interesting. You know, it is a weird year. But yeah, to jump off of that, I guess we know yours, Ralph. But what would everyone's favorite multiplayer game of the year be? If I'm ruling out It Takes Two.
Oh, okay.
Makes you have to go, hang on, what came out? Multiplayer?
Yeah.
The categories, I've got the category, there's like nominations here for multiplayer game, and it is...
Oh, Deathloop's counted. That's interesting.
Oh, wow. That's
I guess
a
it
weird
is.
inclusion.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm not
have
looking
the-
at the
Here
Game
it
of the
is.
Year list. I
It's-
just looked at releases.
Okay.
Oh,
It's
gotcha.
Back for Blood, It Takes Two, Knockout City, that like little
that's
dodgeball
pretty
thing
fun.
from EA.
That
Monster
little
Hunter Rise.
dodgeball thing from
Yeah, you know that one. You know the one.
Damn.
Monster Hunter Rise, New World, and Valheim. So they're but like obviously whatever. Like maybe there's
I'm
something-
partial. I've always been partial, or since World, I've been partial to Monster Hunter. I just love that game to death, and Rise just, I think, hit all the right notes. And it's a portable version of that game, and it plays just as well as World on PC, and even better with
You
some
like
of
it
the
better
new moves
than
that they
World?
added. I like what they did with the Charge Blade, and that's my go-to weapon in Rise. Some of the weapon enhancements I like more in Rise, and that kind of makes it top out a little bit compared to World. But there are also many things in World that it's hard. I enjoyed both immensely for different reasons.
They're both great.
Yeah. I think I might like Rise a little better. If once the expansion comes out and it gets more content, maybe that's a better time to define, because World has gotten so many updates and new content and expansions over the years, and so it's a little hard to compare currently, but Rise's changes so far have hit really well as a Monster Hunter enthusiast. So I'm gonna have to pick Rise. Yeah.
I would say Halo Infinite. I know that's not nominated, but that would be my pick right now for multiplayer game. But I did also love Valheim. I played like 12 hours straight of Valheim, and I think it's fantastic. Interesting, it doesn't look like Far Cry 6 is nominated for anything.
it
correct?
was nominated just before an action game.
Oh,
It's
gotcha.
best action game, and that's the
Pull up the
only
list.
game that I can see.
See, there's action adventure. There's best action.
Yeah, it should be on like best ongoing, really, because it's just more Far Cry, right? So.
Yeah.
That's true.
A little bit of a Far Cry joke there for you guys.
Yeah.
I'll be here all
Ubisoft
night.
rib.
I had a very middling time with Far Cry 6. It had enjoyable moments, but I've played this before. I just have.
Oh, totally.
does.
Totally.
Yeah. And some people are into that, and that's okay. But
Sure.
For me, it's
Look,
yeah.
I mean, I love Far Cry 2 and Far Cry 3. Like, I love them. I think the issue with... I've also played every one after that, but I've not finished all of them. The issue with them is why do they make them so long? Just tidy little package of the same thing every year, I'd be fine with it. But they did the same with Assassin's Creed. You just keep making them longer and longer and longer.
No, I feel like they are still getting the balance right with Far Cry though. Like I don't feel that they're too long because
Far
I
Cry
think you
6,
can usually...
maybe it feels
Far Cry
long
6
to
was
me.
longer. No, you're right. It was longer. You're right. It was.
I'm wondering if I feel that way because I played it before. Like Young said, that like because it feels like you've played it before. So okay, the main story on how long to beat for Far Cry 6 is 22 and a half hours.
Yeah.
Far Cry ain't got no business being that long.
No. But then
Far Cry
compare
5
that
was
to Valhalla.
18.
Compare that to Valhalla, where the critical path is like, I'm gonna say, it took me 67 hours to do critical path in Valhalla,
But
and I
that's
really
a very
did not fuck
different
around
game.
with other stuff. Yes, it is.
I feel like it's allowed.
I really wish
I'm
it
starting
wasn't.
to get to the point where I feel like they're not. I feel like it's just all the same.
I really
like,
feel like it should not be allowed to happen, but I don't know.
Oh,
Look,
sorry,
the
you
thing
said
is, though-
Valhalla is in Assassin's Creed. Sorry, I was hearing Valheim. Valhalla.
Oh, sorry, no.
No.
Valhalla
In
is
agreement.
like 67 hours.
Yeah,
that's
no.
just-
For,
But like,
for Valheim, it can be as long as it likes.
I spent 70 hours in Valheim, loved every second, you know?
Yeah.
But Valhalla after like 20 hours is like, get me the hell out of here. And 50 hours,
No,
I
that's
was
too
like,
much.
Holy shit.
That's too much video game.
And it is structurally a Ubisoft game, so it feels like a Far Cry 6. It feels like I've played that game not just through Far Cry, but also other Ubisoft, like Watch Dogs Legions. There are parts in this game where I felt like I was just playing that. Like I don't know.
This is such a common criticism in like games community circles that it's not like Ubisoft doesn't know. I think it's probably realistically that there are some people who only ever play one of them and thus they don't have the fatigue. And it's really easy to forget that the millions of people who are casual gamers are the millions of people who really matter. That even though we're like, what the Far Cries are the same, they're like, what? I like that actor. It doesn't mean anything.
That's so true.
But it's
like,
obviously I noticed.
Say again, Jack. You go.
That was a theme I noticed, even just like with the before you buy comments and people who watch my stuff, was that like I played 5 and then I played this and it was good.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's great because I played 5 and then whatever that was, New Horizon, New Dawn. I already forgot.
Yes,
that's terrible.
Right.
But I played those back to back and then I jumped into this and I was like, the fatigue is still there. But I think at least with 6, they embrace the craziness more than they have, and that saved it for me a little bit.
Sure.
I was able to get over some of
Big
that.
fan of the alligator.
Oh
Great,
yeah,
great call.
Wapo.
Alligator
He
with a
was
shirt.
the man.
Good stuff.
I also love Giancarlo as an actor, which and it was cool for him to be in there. I don't think it was his best villain performance, or his best villain character, but it was still fun to see him do his thing.
I like the main characters, Danny Rojas.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, actually,
I was
liked
surprised. I was like,
Danny
this
a
is
lot.
Good characters for once in a Ubisoft game. It's
I'll give him
super
that.
rare, but it happens.
Well, the old Assassin's Creeds did a good job of that.
No, you're right. I mean, modern Ubisoft
Yeah.
games, they've definitely struggled with that a lot more. So
Yeah, because they have too much game.
Yeah.
How do you even
and
write
have
that?
You stretch out a personality across 80 hours, and
Yeah.
familiarity breeds contempt, as they say.
Yep.
And I certainly had plenty of that.
I don't want
by
to
the end
spend
of the game.
time with my family for 70 hours. You expect me to spend it with this dude? Come on. No, it's
I
totally a
think
thing.
part of the reason why Ubisoft games have been so samey is the guy who approves the projects. It was this Serge, I think Heskowit or something, and he recently got fired after all the allegations. And everything kind of got piped to this one guy who would say that's a go and that's cancel. I believe that's how it was reported. And so now that he's gone, I don't know if they're going to change how that pipeline works. Maybe it'll pave the road to more variety. But
I don't think they can because it's not necessarily like maybe it started as a system of somebody approving something, but it's that they have all these global worldwide studios always making games years in advance that they have to share systems for their output requirements
and tool sets and everything.
Right.
Yeah.
So no matter what, I think they can't help but feel the same. And that's the thing that I keep saying about Splinter Cell is all the people who are like, bring back Splinter Cell. I keep being like, you don't want this. Like, sure, it'll be Splinter Cell titled, but it'll just be another Tom Clancy Wildlands or whatever.
I like pain. Let's try it.
Well, apparently they're doing it. Sounds like
me
it.
more.
Yeah, but I don't think it'll be at all the same thing not because like there aren't talented people at Ubisoft. I'm sure there are plenty, but
No,
they
for
can't do it. The way that they function as a studio is just not compatible with like extreme innovation
Yeah.
because they have to reuse systems.
And they're not stepping back from it. Like Assassin's Creed Infinity is coming. It's live
Yeah.
service Assassin's Creed, baby. Let's go. So
Yeah.
I mean, we
Don't even
definitely
get
we definitely live in this bubble, like in like the core gaming commentariat, where we're like, this sucks. But really, it
We
like
think
makes
we're way
ton-
bigger
it
than
makes,
we are.
Oh, we
Yeah.
don't have any impact whatsoever. Like
No.
at the end of the day, like mobile games are where the money's
Stuff
at.
I want to
and, like,
keep reminding people
Roblox
with The
and
Last
shit,
of
like-
Us is like all the conversations around The Last of Us Part 2 is like
Yeah.
all of the millions of people who played this game have never heard of any of this controversy. They have
Correct.
no knowledge of all this thing that you think is the most important thing in the world.
True.
They have
Very
no
true.
clue. They don't know what the Game Awards are.
Yeah.
Jeff, who? What? So-
Related, did any of you play Life is Strange True Colors? It's nominated for a few things.
No, not me.
Neither. None of
No,
us?
I cannot stand the writing from that studio.
I also
I've
don't like Life is
tried
Strange.
to play some of it, and I bounce off it so fast. I'm like, how? Like, okay, no disrespect to the studio and the writers, like whatever else. They know their niche and they know their audience, and it works. But like, I really last about 20 minutes before I'm like, this dialogue is so bad, I can't listen to any more of it. Do you know what I mean? It's-
didn't mind it in Twin Mirror.
that was the one that I bounced off fastest. I'm
Okay.
like,
I was
the
okay
hell?
with it in Twin Mirror because in Twin Mirror it's campy in a way that I found really fun. Like I was making fun of it while playing it in a way that I enjoyed. Whereas with Life is Strange, I've never been able to do it. Same reason. I just don't
Sure.
like the writing. And I get that a lot of people do. But I also with Tell Me Why, like I
Yeah.
had a lot of trouble with that.
I
just
like their
can't.
writing in Vampire or Vampire because it
Haven't
was
played
just like, I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed, I'm a spooky vampire. And I'm like, yeah,
Let's go.
good shit. Yeah.
Because they
I'd
Don't
be
also
down
made
for that.
Remember Me, right?
Yeah.
That was their first game.
Okay.
I think it was.
Oh, Vampire. I'm trying to get
What
through
is this?
that, but
It's come up with a 2010 film with Robert Pattinson. No, game.
Oh, wow.
Remember Me it was Don't Nod's first game, which was super different to everything else they've ever made, and did not have that problem. But I mean, the issue that I have with Life is Strange is like you can very much tell that it's a bunch of, I think, French dudes trying to write as like a specific Northwest American teenage
really?
girl, and you're like,
Yeah, cool teens.
I
Yeah.
don't know about that.
Sure.
I see.
But you know, I totally get that not everybody feels that way. There are a lot of people who really love those, so clearly they're doing it for their audience absolutely correctly. We just aren't that audience,
Totally,
which makes
totally,
sense.
totally.
Kana, which I only recently found out I was pronouncing wrong the whole time. I thought it was
it's
Kena.
Kana.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
not
it's
Kena.
Kana.
That's your Australian coming through, right? It's
Kana.
Yeah, Kana.
Fucking Kana, mate.
It's also
rolls
one that
too
I
naturally,
actually
doesn't
still
it?
haven't played. Weirdly
Oh
enough.
no way, it's really good too.
It's
Yeah.
nice.
I like it a lot.
Yeah.
I think I really fall under the same category as like Ratchet, which is it is a spectacularly beautiful game that knows exactly what it's doing, and it's just going to play all the hits, and you're going to love it. But you know, you've played it before. That's it. You know, it's like it's not there to win awards. It's not Oscar bait. It's just a really nice video game that I would absolutely recommend to anyone who loves those classic 3D platformers. You know, like the old, I don't know, like I'm not gonna say Jack and Daxter, like those old adventure
fair.
games.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
I really,
It's
I really liked
beautiful.
it.
It's a fantastic debut game for Amber Lab.
Massive.
That's
Animation's gorgeous. It's very Pixar. It's stunning, and it's very heartfelt as well. It is just a really nice time.
It is.
It's interesting because it's a game that, you know, they don't make a lot of like simple, humble adventure games like that now, and I feel like this is a game where I would have like ate it for breakfast for PS2 or 360
Yes.
era, and now it's like, oh wow, we got one this year,
Yeah.
and it's great, but it's not like super at the top of my brain now after I beat it. I was impressed with how it was like crushingly hard at the end. And it
Oh
just
yeah,
became like
some
this,
boss
like,
fights were
fuck
really
you
hard.
game.
It really
Oh
spikes.
man,
Yeah.
the spikes were
it's-
insane. I was
Yeah.
like, am I going crazy here? This is nuts. I was like, is the game broken?
Yeah.
It was in a way that I really enjoyed though. Like I liked the difficulty spikes in it because it usually, probably not every time, but a lot of the time was after you learned a new mechanic. It was like,
Yeah.
here you go, baby, and then you just have to
Yeah.
figure it out in a really hard fight, and I found that really fun.
Really
Yeah,
love
you
that.
get through it. It was really the last boss fight where it was like I was like I don't know, man. Eventually I got through it, but I was like, oof.
I know some reviewers have said that they couldn't finish it, and they really like a lot of people making a big deal out of it. They're like, "This game is too hard." I'm like,
I had a lot of people say that
Won't
with
go that
Sekiro,
far,
where they
like-
couldn't get past the final boss, which I get. And so they just
so
never
much.
finished the game.
Sekiro
I feel like you should get a
is
badge for like everything but that.
yeah, right.
I finished that game 3 times. That's one game that I
Sekiro?
might. Yeah, because
brilliant.
there's like 4 endings, and I also turned up the difficulty. You ring the bell and do all these things. I like turned up everything, and I've gotten so good at that game now that's made me better in other games pairing systems, and I love that game so much.
I have not defeated the Demon of Hatred.
Neither have I. That's one that I haven't done actually. Yeah.
I tried and was like,
I haven't actually even attempted
maybe
it.
not
so-
for me.
Wait, hold on, is that the one I'm thinking of?
Big fiery boy.
Big fire dude. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's
'Cause that one's like post game kind of thing.
Yeah,
so,
you don't have to. It's on my bucket
Yeah.
list. I'll do it eventually, but I got to
I-
sit down for a long time.
You really have to kind of back off a lot and then come back in like with
Well,
this
because he
guy.
plays a little bit more like a Souls boss than a Sekiro
Yes.
boss, and I think that's what breaks me is that I forget that every
Absolutely.
time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he's tough. But you've beaten
It's
him?
fun. Yes.
Oh my God, true
A
gamer.
couple times.
Real hardcore gamer
I
out
just
here.
love Sekiro.
Yeah, real
it's
gamer.
my
It's a
favorite
brilliant
Souls
game.
Yeah.
It's mine too. I love it, and Bloodborne obviously, which both
I just-
fantastic.
I'm purposely holding off on playing Bloodborne until I see like some kind of remaster, just some kind of 60 FPS patch, because I'm so used to 60 frames now. I just can't. I tried going back,
Hang in
and it
there.
just feels so
Yeah.
scary. I can't do it.
You and
I
everyone
went
else
back.
just out here like, come on.
Yeah, come on.
I mean, that could be like a thing that maybe it's been rumored for forever. Could
Yeah.
get announced during.
There's a
TGA. That would
rumor
be
that
amazing.
Blue Point might be working on a remaster
That'd be
for
the
that.
right people to do it.
Yeah.
In terms of like predictions for stuff that is going to be at TGA, I'm expecting to see BioShock.
Okay.
No.
I was definitely
Been a
expecting to
long
see.
time.
Yeah, oh yeah. The Hogwarts game, like actual
Sure.
proper gameplay of that. Those are the
Hogwarts
only
Rising,
two
or whatever.
Is it? I don't remember what it's called.
I don't know. I just made that up.
Hogwarts Rising. I was going to say
Rising.
what?
Hogwarts Rising is
Hogwarts
better.
Legacy?
Hogwarts Legacy.
That sounds
That's it.
right.
It's rising.
It makes it sound like a star sign. Hogwarts Rising. Those are the two that came to my top of my head. What else? What else? I mean, we could see more of like Suicide Squad or Gotham Knights. Maybe.
Maybe Breath of the Wild 2. Maybe I don't know. No, maybe not.
Nintendo won't do that there. I don't think they'll do their own.
Don't we
thing.
get usually one little Nintendo zinger from the Game
Yeah.
Awards?
Yeah.
tends
We
to
do.
be.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe.
I don't know that I'd call Breath of the Wild 2 a little Nintendo zinger though.
There was that one year
little
where
one.
they debuted some Breath of the Wild stuff
They
at the Game
did.
Awards.
Yeah.
Did they? Okay, I don't
Yeah.
remember
So
that.
they
Right,
could
fair
do
enough.
it. That would be cool.
I'd love that. I'm so excited for that game.
Yeah, I think next year's going to be a banger. It's gonna be
Maybe
a
some
good-ass
God
year.
of War Ragnarok stuff.
Yeah, maybe. If only we had
Damn
someone
it.
that could confirm that for us. That would be nice.
Alana has left the chat.
Oh shit.
To be clear, I wouldn't know in any case.
Yeah.
I don't get that kind of information.
you guys think Starfield's gonna show up?
Well, they just did a trailer, not a trailer, but like a little behind the scenes docu
Thing.
thing today.
Yeah.
Like 7 minutes of them just
Oh, did
kind of-
they?
Yeah, but like, let's be clear. It's really 7 minutes of Todd and his buddies just kind of like saying nice things about exploration.
But did they say
and
it
the
all like that?
stars. Yes, they did.
Starfield.
They definitely did.
Excellent.
So there was really, it was like concept art and that's it. It was cool concept art, don't get me wrong, like I liked it. But there's definitely nothing like, guys, you have to watch this Starfield thing right now. There's not a lot of
Yeah.
stuff in there. So yeah.
We've also got Dragon Age. You
Right.
just sparked my mind because the last time that we saw that was the same thing. It was just like devs being like, so happy to work on Dragon Age and a bunch of like concept art.
Oh, sure. That's exactly how they started the hype for Anthem as well, BioWare.
That game's just
a bunch of people.
so many
just being
twists and turns, at least based on what's reported in terms of what it is. It was initially the single player focused dense thing, then it became a live service. Now it's not.
Oh, do you mean
and now
Anthem?
Yeah, or
No.
Dragon Age 4.
Dragon Age.
Dragon Age 4 is live service?
It
No,
was
no, no.
initially.
It was-
Joplin was a single player game, and then that got scrapped, and then Project Morrison got booted up, and that became the new thing. That was going to be live service, and then it
What?
was reported it got changed
God.
back to single player after how well
Anthem.
EA's single player endeavors did, and after Anthem's disastrous
No.
failure.
No.
And now
It's been
now
spicy.
Dragon Age 4 creative director, just out of the blue left the project, and I'm feeling really uneasy about it personally. I hope.
I think
I'm
that's
wrong.
fair after Anthem. They're on
sure.
uneasy footing for sure.
And Andromeda as well, which wasn't exactly a home run. So
That's true.
We'll see.
Yeah,
But,
I would really want them to be successful on this one because
Me too.
like if they're not, like you have to worry about the future of that studio because it costs a lot of money to hire all those people and they are not making microtransaction focused games.
No,
like
for
EA
BioWare
would
to go down
prefer.
in flames would be devastating.
It would be super
Same.
sad.
Yeah.
You know? So
especially with the announcement of a new Mass Effect, I really want them to nail that too.
Totally.
Sure. So,
Yeah, I got a lot of love for them. I hope. I hope.
I guess there's that rumor of a Mass Effect TV show as well. So that obviously would probably give a greater chance of surviving in the long term if they're going to be working on a big Mass Effect game to go out alongside a Netflix series or an Amazon series or whatever it is.
I do think they got Legendary Edition right, but that's it's more of a remaster. It's still like they got it right.
You can fuck up remasters. Speaking of
yeah,
Jake Shutt.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can.
Oh, yeah.
Oh boy.
Oh no.
Who'd have thought? Wow, I did not expect that to go down that way. Would not have guessed.
Me neither. I was
cycle.
I was excited for it, man.
Dude, I was so excited. Oh
so
my
pumped.
god. I was like, can't wait, let's go. And then I was like, I will continue to wait. Never mind. But I don't mind waiting. That's the big thing is I'm like, I'll wait a year. It's fine. I just want to replay Vice City real bad.
Yeah, there's other stuff to play in the meantime.
Yeah. Anyone else got any predictions for things that we think we might see announced? I hadn't really thought about it.
Neither do I. Yeah, no idea. Yeah, no clue.
Less sexy, but maybe an actual look at Hitman stuff for the next year.
Yeah,
you mean like the year two stuff?
That's more of a real tangible thing.
Yeah,
and I would like to see that because that's on my list of things that I really like this year. So
I don't know how far along 007 is, but I'd love to.
The IO game.
Oh
Get a
my
peek
god!
at that.
I almost forgot they were
I
making
am
that.
pumped for
Yeah.
that.
That's got to be super early. Like, if anything, it's a teaser trailer.
I
just
think
kind of
so.
thing.
I think it's
nothing
pretty
more
early.
than that. Yeah.
I know a fair bit about that game. I'm trying to think of what I could say.
I don't want to get anyone in trouble.
All of it. It's just us. It's fine. It's all good.
Nobody watching.
Everyone in the chat agrees that they will not share it beyond the chat. So just go
you guys
on,
will
tell
sign
us
an
everything.
NDA.
Truthfully,
Yeah,
I didn't sign an NDA. Is the problem. Truthfully, I don't know how IO operates, so I actually couldn't even guess. But I know that they have the story pretty much down,
Oh, okay.
and
Cool.
it sounds cool and surprising, and I think
Nice.
I'm excited about it.
Sweet.
There's such a good studio to make that game.
Yeah, I guess it's further along than
It's
a lot of
everything or
people think.
nothing
I don't know.
too.
Yeah.
Let's go.
I mean, I loved Hitman 3 as well. Did that come out this year?
Yeah.
Yes.
Bro, what? It's
Yeah.
not nominated for anything?
Yeah. So that's
isn't
actually on my game of the year. It's floating around in my top 5 specifically because it's the only game where I think it came out in January.
You did.
And since January, I kept going in the back of my head, hey, remember Hitman 3?
Yeah.
Hey, don't forget about Hitman 3.
Yeah,
and
sure.
I've been able to keep that in my brain until now. So it earned a spot for
It
me.
was
It's
really,
where
really
it
good.
finally clicked.
I love the narrative
Yeah.
stuff that they did. Like, I just thought it was
Oh,
so
yeah.
cool. That
Really cool.
the third mission, I think, in the house.
Oh, the Knives Out level?
Yeah.
Oh, it's so
God.
good.
I'm really excited to play it in VR. I think it's already available in PSVR, but I tend to use
Yes.
Oculus, and it's coming to Oculus,
Awesome.
I think is what they said.
Yes, it's PC VR with this whole 2022 like new stuff.
Hell
I just
yeah.
want to do that. They have in the trailer. You can tap a man on the shoulder and then like go over here, and then he'll turn around and look, and then you can punch him in the face. That's the only reason why I want to play.
That's so good.
a very good feature.
Yeah, I'm stoked. Hitman 3 was also fantastic, and I feel like I haven't seen it nominated for really anything, but that's that's the January 20
The
thing.
recency bias.
Yeah, recency bias is a thing that I feel like
There's
I
some of
see
that.
people throw around, but it's absolutely a thing, and it's kind of unavoidable. Like
Yep.
it does feel like it didn't come out this year. It feels like it came out
Yeah,
ages ago.
I think Returnal's a bit of a victim of that as well.
Yeah.
Like I think if
agree.
Returnal came out this month, like Returnal would be on so many Game of the Year lists, and everyone
Yeah.
would be like frothing it. But
It is a really good game.
Yeah.
I think it's a great game. I absolutely would put it on a Game of the Year list.
Same. I'd nominate it.
Yeah.
I think that it is innovative on many fronts. I think it has the best sound design of the year, some of the best art design. I think it has.
It's my favorite use of the
looks-
DualSense.
Favorite use of the DualSense, looks beautiful. I think the story is really great and engaging.
Yeah.
Maybe doesn't quite stick the landing, but like really pushes you through it all the way. I think the combat loop when it clicks and you get the right upgrades is fantastic, and just like that feeling of rhythm that you get, and like that sixth sense that kind of kicks in because you start to feel the battlefield and you feel when an enemy is about to strike. I really think it came together super well.
Yeah.
And I definitely think it deserves a look in as a Game of the Year
I agree.
contender.
I didn't expect to like or be as into the lore as I was. I was like, damn, I'm super into this. I want to listen to everything. Very good.
I just wish they had just improve the roguelike, I don't know, economy or flow. That's just all it needed for it to be just like infinitely replayable almost. But that aside, honestly, it's one of the top ones for me. I've also heard a lot of people, I haven't played Forza Horizon 5, but I know a lot of people love that game, and many
it's up there
feel
for
like,
me.
I feel like that franchise has always been good.
Yeah.
They have always been great. It almost caught me by surprise that everybody gave it nods this year. I've not played it either. Jake, what's the difference between, or the big selling point for this one versus previous?
This one has a DeLorean in it.
I was going to say, that's exactly what I was going to say.
10 out of 10 game of the year.
It's perfect. No, this one has a lot more just active. They've always been good at throwing a lot at you, but this one kind of goes overboard on it, and not in a bad way, I guess. A lot more active player events that pop up in the world. I really liked the new map. I think Mexico is really cool. I thought the variety for it
does
was
look
great.
really pretty.
It's really good.
And it gives you all these different types of races, which they've had race variety in the past, but like with Mexico and with jungles and dirt and streets and like literal sand dune deserts, I thought
volcanoes.
It just made for excellent variety.
Yeah.
Fucking volcano racing. Like
so good.
Damn.
It does look really good. Yeah, I haven't played it yet, but
it is. Sorry, go on. You go.
Well, I don't have much to say other than I just feel like we tend to snub sports games and racing games.
Yeah. And I think there was an article that was out recently from a guy named Jez Corden, and he was like, the Game Awards kind of snubs games like this and focuses on other types of games that kind of fit into that movie game category. And I don't personally agree with that, right? But I think it does. It's an interesting point to talk about in terms of like what game is the kind of game that we think fits on a Game of the Year list.
I think we tend to want emotional connections.
Yeah.
Yes, I would. Least, yes. I would agree with that. Or we want just like that kind of like. But even then, I don't know. Like think about it: Overwatch, Sekiro, Breath of the Wild.
Is it
true. Emotional?
You're right.
I think there's quite a few things I think we look to when we think what is a game of the year. But I think it's probably really much easier for us to say like, what's the kind of game that's not going to be on this list? And a sports and racing game is one that we're going to be like, yeah, that's not going to get on the list.
Or a mobile
sucks. Yeah, or a mobile game. But like, obviously Forza Horizon 5 is literally the highest rated game of the year, critically speaking. And it doesn't appear in a Game of the Year list. And it's like, well, what's up with that? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it just doesn't fit our idea of Game of the Year. That doesn't mean people don't like it and don't think it's a fantastic game. It feels pretty universal. But when you think of something as like the memory you're going to take away with you this year,
sure,
it's just a different thing. So maybe if it's not emotional connection, maybe it's like scale, grandeur, like something epic, that we need. I don't know. I do think that's a really interesting conversation to have though. Like I get why it's not there because I wouldn't put it there, but I've always loved the series and I think they're fantastic games. But
I would love more like Game Awards considerations from outlets, and every website does their own Game of the Year thing. I would love if they just kind of all really embraced the the Game Pro fun factor. Remember the Game Pro reviews, and it would have fun factor 5 out of 5.
Yeah.
And it would have like the guy like I think they should all hammer home
most
that
fun game of the year
because
that'd be cool.
Then Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 remake would have won, and I would have been happy and not bitter from last year. But
then like that gets games like Hot Wheels Unleashed onto the list. You know what I mean? Which I don't know if any of you guys played that. That is a great video game.
It looks insane.
Super cool video game that if that list existed, I think everyone would be like, yep, cool, that belongs on there and I'll vote for it.
But it's not like we're the only industry to do that, right? Because, any film awards is always like, well, if it's not about serious themes, like you can't have a Marvel in here. We're all doing the same thing.
And
really.
then that like Green Book movie wins or whatever.
Yeah, it's
terrible
always
movie.
I haven't seen it. Isn't it like horrific to watch?
No, it's not. It's just such a generic, boring ass story. Just like, but it's just like it's Oscar bait because it's got like
bait.
themes. Do you know what I mean? And
Because it's got themes.
It's got themes, so therefore let's give it an Oscar. Do you know what I mean? And like, it really was just a bit of a low point. So.
I understand. Yeah, it is interesting to think about. Like, I think I agree with you, Jake. Like, and that's the thing that I always want to talk about, regardless, is like the Game Awards is not the universal game of the year. You don't have to agree with it. It's just what these people voted on. Like, whatever you think is your game of the year is your game of the year. There are a million outlets who'll give a million awards. It doesn't mean anything. It's fine.
Yeah.
But I would like if we saw some more creative categories to like not just be like best racing game. You know?
I think the argument can also be made that given the amount of attention the Game Awards draw, it can, if you want to really support maybe a certain game and see it get the recognition it deserves, and if it feels like it's getting, snubbed and, because like Game Awards, no doubt, like can help boost sales of games or
for a game like It Takes Two, it would make a huge difference.
For sure.
Attention, word of mouth, yeah,
all that stuff. So there's an element of that, but I do agree. Like at the end of the day, it's just it's all irrelevant. What matters is what you like, and if you like the thing, you like the thing, and that's.
I think you should look at it as a fun spectacle and not as like the truth.
Exactly.
No, sure. I've definitely heard discussion around the composition of the judging panel and what have you, and whether or not, because like I think there's that People's Choice thing, which is totally separate from the Game of the Year vote, or at least, or is it a case of like Game of the Year has like 10% of the vote toward like from the people and 90% is from game journalists? Is that correct? Am I right in remembering it that way?
It used to be that way, and now it is a separate thing.
That's what I thought.
I might be wrong.
That's what I think it is. But either way,
it is a lot broader than games
Right.
journalists. I will give the Game Awards credit for that. It is content creators. It is a lot of people.
Yeah.
Sure.
Full disclosure, I'm like part of Game Ranks, the outlet I work with, is on it. So it's not just my opinion; it's our whole team.
Right.
But we are one of the. And credit to them, like we're not necessarily like an IGN or a GameSpot. We're like a scuzzy YouTube channel.
Yeah, I was on it at Funhouse.
Happy to be
we were
there.
on the jury,
right?
And IGN, obviously.
I feel like it would be, because this is something else that Corden article mentioned, like having developers in that judging panel, I think would be really good. Because like you've obviously got punters and that's cool, but that's complicated because then like Fortnite wins every year, okay? And then obviously you've got game journalists, and it's like, well, we understand that there is often a divide between critics and punters. And then I think if you had like that game developer in the mix, like they're like 30% of the block, for example, I think that'd be good because these people make games for a living. They really know what they're doing and they know how to assess something.
So many different award shows for that though. So I've been on jury for like BAFTAs. That is entirely devs, and it's a really cool jury to do. Very different to the Game Awards, because the Game Awards, in my experience, for both the outlets that were juried on it, was just like somebody sent out a form, everyone put nominations, biggest nominations got picked, then we'd vote on them, send. BAFTAs is you have to play every single game that's nominated, and then you have to sit in a room for several hours and discuss with each other on a ranking, and then like if someone's like, I thought this game was garbage, and it's crazy how vicious some of the devs are. Some of them are like, fucking trash. What were they doing? Like, it's wild because you never see that from journalists. Don't speak that way.
Only YouTubers do.
Only YouTubers speak that way. But they do put a lot of thought into it. So like BAFTAs runs that way. Indiecade is all devs, I think, at least. DICE is all devs, which is why like DICE, Untitled Goose Game was a winner 2 years ago, which was like a thing that I was like, that would never happen at the Game Awards.
No, probably should anyway.
How dare you? You're Australian, sir.
But I agree with all that, and it's that's great that happens. But at the same time, I think the Game Awards has become such a front and center thing.
It's
where
true.
It's like it's what our conversation is centered on today, as like the Game of the Year stuff. We use that as an anchor point. And so I do feel like, having developers in the mix on that would be a good thing.
I think I agree. I would like that. But I also, I think
would there not be a conflict of interest?
Nah,
Potentially.
nah.
That's the thing that occurs to me.
Yeah.
Nah, it's not like it's.
Can't they just be like, don't pick your game?
Yeah, that's it.
Don't vote
Exactly.
on your
And like,
game.
it's and then if
Or
you
they
get like
just-
if it's like 100 developers, it all gets worked out in the wash. Do you know
One
what
of the
I mean?
ones that I was on previously, I had to get moved categories because Cyberpunk was nominated, and because I'm credited on Cyberpunk, I couldn't be
Sure.
in that category, which makes perfect sense. So they were like,
Yeah.
you're credited, so we have to move you to a category where nothing you're credited on is listed.
Sure.
So they do have avenues to do that, but I do feel like there are potential conflicts there. In any case, I
Yeah.
think I agree that I would like it, but it also, I don't know what it necessarily serves in the end because they are such different audiences. I think that often the way that game devs look at games can be very different to consumers, and then it comes into the question of like, well, who is this award show for?
Yeah.
Well,
I
I
don't
think
know.
it's for I think it's for the whole industry, and I think it is for the people
It
that
kinda
play
is,
games,
yeah.
the people that talk about them, and the people that make them, and probably anyone else.
I mean, you're right. Everybody
and
watches,
so-
really.
Yeah, and so I think if everyone had that kind of representation, and I think they're the major sectors as well. Like if I don't know who else you could get in there. Executives need a vote. The directors of the major gaming publishers. That's a joke, by the way. Fuck off.
Bobby
But, like,
Kotick needs a
Bobby
vote.
Kotick needs a vote. Okay, that's right. But I think those are the major sectors, like players and the commentariat and developers. And I think if
The
that
three
was
pillars.
kinda-
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, I think that would work really well. I'd like to see that. So yeah.
Be
I
interesting.
don't disagree. So before I let you all go, I did want to round over to some games that are still on the list that we haven't spoken about. Did you guys play the Artful Escape?
No,
been
everyone
meaning
goes on
to.
about that.
That was
Yeah.
such a nor.
yeah, very Aussie.
Dire.
Very Aussie.
It's very cool, stunning. Sound design / score is wonderful. Very, very simple mechanically.
Okay.
It's more of an experience, I think. But yeah, also a really promising debut game for sure. Beautiful to listen to. Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. We haven't spoken about Guardians
That's
of
the
the Galaxy.
biggest surprise of the year. If that was an award, I'd give it that.
I know.
In my
That
top 5.
Is in
Definitely.
my top 10. It's pushing top 5. I loved it, and with some space from it, I appreciate it more and more. I think it is fantastic.
I was not into it based on the marketing at all. It was like,
Yeah.
I want
Same.
nothing to do with this. And then I played it and I was like, oh, interesting.
Yes.
To me, the gameplay is a bit too rough for it to be in my sort of game of the year top 10 category, but it is the story is shockingly good. The character chemistry eventually clicked for me, and then it just got better and better. And the way they dive into these characters, and like I got genuinely emotional
Yeah.
from some of these stories and how it all culminated, and some of the relationships that Peter Quill has with certain characters in the game. It just worked. I think this is the Uncharted one of you know what I mean? Like,
Ooh, I love
Uncharted
that.
1 was rough around the edges, and then 2 just blew it out of the water. I think Guardians of the Galaxy 2 is going to be incredible. If this is if this is the foundation and they just build upon it, this is going to be game of the year easily if they just stick with this.
It's brilliant how it kind of like baits you. It gets you in the door. Like, yeah, sure. It's like James Gunn's Guardians. Yeah, come on in.
Yeah.
And then halfway through, it's like, we're going to dive deeper into these characters and
Yes.
explore new avenues that you've never even... And
Sure.
it's so great for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the party mechanics as well. I think they did a good job with the combat.
Yeah.
And the animations were really cool. Like, there were things that I didn't love about it. I don't
Sure.
love scanning environments to find things in any game.
Yeah.
I don't need all that. But I'd agree. If there were a biggest surprise, let's just offer it that. For
Yeah,
whatever
right.
this group of people is, congrats, you've won. Biggest surprise of the year goes to
That's it.
Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy.
For you.
Here's
Put on
our
the
one
box.
award.
That's right. That's it. Done.
Near Replicant also was not nominated for anything other than score and music, which would be my pick for that.
Absolutely. It well deserved.
Okabe.
Abe,
What a gem.
absolute genius.
What a gem.
Genius.
I also do love the music of Cyberpunk, though. I'll give it.
Oh
that.
yeah, Cyberpunk's here too, and I will say of this group, it's Artful Escape, Cyberpunk, Deathloop, Guardians of the Galaxy, and Near Replicant. Cyberpunk is the one that I still listen to
Yeah, same. I still like
pretty consistently.
just same. It's and I mean the effort that they put in that soundtrack
the
and
three composers.
and they got like bands
real
together
band.
to create unique tracks for this radio or this game's radio channels and stuff like that. Like it's just an incredible amount of effort, and all of it just sounds really, really good in my opinion. So
Yeah.
this is one that I actually genuinely give to Cyberpunk.
It is really good. They absolutely nailed it. They stuck to the genre. I think I got to give it to Akabe, but I do feel pretty.
You haven't played Final Fantasy 14 yet. You haven't experienced the genius of soaking. So when
I'm
you
almost
do,
at Shadowbringers.
Let's derail this
you
show
are.
yet again.
Here it fucking goes.
That's right.
Realm
the next
of Born
20 minutes, guys. is
was
Final Fantasy
miserable
14.
to get through. Once I got into Heaven's Word, the story and the characters started to come together, and now I'm like actually really into it. But the first 70 hours, miserable. I hated the first 70 hours.
I don't think you're at all wrong. I think you're spot on.
But now
Even
it's
though
getting
the
good.
Final Fantasy 14 community don't like hearing that. No. Actually, the first game is also genius. You just don't understand. I'm like, no, man, it kind of sucks. Come on, let's be real. It gets amazing, but the first game is not great.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy's had that with quite a few games, though. It was like that with 13 too. They were like, you just have to get through the first 20 hours.
That's right.
Do I?
All right, bro. All right.
Yeah.
Guys, you aren't playing New World? No, anyone?
No.
But like in its defense, like New World's done pretty well for itself. Like obviously it's really busted and broken at the end game, as many love those like massive online role-playing games, whatever. But it's had a really successful launch, and I think the narrative is quite critical of it, justifiably so. But like, I think the biggest story is there was a new MMO that launched this year at massive scale that really cut through and did well for itself.
Didn't
the
die,
last time
It's
that
Amazon,
happened.
right?
And Amazon
Amazon.
finally
So it was their
launched-
first
never
not
happens.
failure.
out of like six projects or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the fact that they had a proof of concept that worked at that scale and got that many people engaged, that's a huge win already. And if they can then fix up the broken shit and like add stuff, maybe this has
Like
got
the
a future.
economy.
You know what I mean?
Game development.
Which
Just
they had
fix
to like
up the broken
turn
shit.
off.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
that's most games these days when they launch. You know, let's be real.
That's before launch. That's the whole game development process.
Well,
Top
it
to
would
bottom.
be nice if that were true, but unfortunately, that's not the world we live in. Very sadly. So
Yeah,
I will. Oh, you go. Sorry.
I was gonna say I said this last time. I can't play MMOs because I get too addicted, so I did not try it. But I had a number of friends who did, and everyone was very positive about it. Like more than I've seen anybody speak about an MMO in a really long time, since Guild Wars 2 probably.
Definitely.
It is pretty cool.
One last thing I'll throw in is Destiny 2, which no one likes to talk about. No one has a kind word for Destiny except for old SkillUp, but I'll do it. I'll wave the flag. Okay. I unironically believe that Destiny 2 is an incredible game. Like truly, it's just impossible to recommend because of all the bullshit around it. And it makes me so sad.
I have not played in a year and a half. I used to play every November. I'd jump back in and I'd get into it, but it became too much video game.
Look, I wish I could just shout from the rooftop. And I think I was at the start of the year. I'm like, Bungie are nailing this, man. Everyone needs to play this right now. But then just lots of bullshit got piled on, like removal of content and the trans.
It was the removal that got me out, actually, that I was like, all right. But I will say, anybody who would ever say that the mechanics of that game, that the combat doesn't feel stellar, is big dummy.
Bullshit.
You heard it here first.
Yeah.
It feels so good. Every time that I ever
playing
even
game.
lightly jump back, I'm like, hell yeah.
Yeah. But I think that's a very common talking point around it. But I feel like in this last year, it's really moved beyond that. Like its live service delivery is fantastic. The story that it's serving up now is excellent. It's the best story we've ever seen in Destiny. The new content that arrives in terms of raids and whatever, and the classes, and man, it's like I really do think Destiny's on a pretty. It's on the cutting edge of some seriously cool shit right now, but it's also on the cutting edge of some fucking bullshit.
But how much is Bungie paying you though?
Yeah, right. Well, I'm not exactly in Bungie's like what do you
good
call
books?
it? Like they're good books. It's a love-hate relationship, right?
Yeah,
but,
as every Destiny player says.
Correct. But
No,
like
that's great.
I
I'm
really
happy
do
to hear
think it's totally, and I just think that Destiny gets a really rough run a lot of the time, but I think it's a really good game, and I don't say that just because I personally love it. I think it's also because it actually is a very good video game.
Totally fair. So there are the games for impact category. I've not played any of these games, but I wanted to shout them out because it seems like that's a good thing that they've done, as judged by some people. Before Your Eyes, I think that's the one where you blink.
It is. I haven't played it, but yes, it is.
It sounds very cool.
Yes.
I don't know what happens though. Boyfriend Dungeon, I'm most familiar with because of all the controversy surrounding it, but it also definitely piqued my interest. Chicory, A Colorful Tale, looks beautiful. Life is Strange True Colors, which none of us have played, and No Longer Home are all the games nominated in that category, which is like kind of an indie 2.0 category, I guess.
Never even heard of No Longer Home, actually.
I haven't either, but I haven't heard of Chicory either.
Oh no, I've heard of Chicory. It's really nice.
It looks beautiful.
Nice looking. Yeah. It's right. Interesting.
Destiny is not in best ongoing.
It doesn't deserve to be honest with you, because as I said, it's just impossible to recommend this game. And in terms of all the shit that's going on around it, it's But
I've been looking for an excuse to get back into it. I just haven't. I can't find it with everything that's going on. I acknowledge that there are really great things about the game. Bungie just hasn't done a good job of pulling old players back in, or even new players into it. But I hope they'll manage to do that eventually.
Very true.
I live vicariously with Destiny through all my friends who play it.
Yeah.
And they tell me about all these crazy, complicated things, and I'm like, nice, dude.
That
tight,
sounds sick.
awesome. Good for you. Yeah. I'm
really
like,
glad I'm
never
not
gonna
playing
do that.
Yeah, sure. Oh, actually, one other one's Sable. Did you guys play Sable this year?
I did not play Sable. No,
I
and
saw your
I've been
video, though.
so
I'm
excited about it
now.
for a really long time. But I've not
It's
played
only
it.
short. It's so beautiful. It's so nice to play. It just really nails that like sense of discovery, that like what's over there. Because
Yeah, I
it's
love
so
that.
unguided, so free form. I really recommend it. It's definitely on my game of the year list, to be honest with you. I really loved it that much.
Dang. Okay.
It looks really good. I've always every time I saw that I was very excited about it. Still very excited about Sifu. We spoke about that last time.
Yeah.
Most anticipated.
It's
By
not in
far.
the category. Did anyone
Yeah.
play Shin Megami Tensei?
Not yet. That's at the top of my. I did play 4, and I'm excited for 5. I just haven't had time, but I'm getting into it.
Big
soon,
old
I hope.
beefy RPG.
Yeah,
It's a
and this
commitment.
is like the Dark Souls of JRPGs. This is tough stuff. And it's a lot about exploiting weaknesses and keeping that vicious cycle going. And if you can't, then enemies can one or two shot you. It's like that level of intensity, but it's really fun to overcome those challenges. And that's based on what I played in 4. I'm assuming 5 is in that vein. It looks more gorgeous now. I'm genuinely pumped to play it.
Oh yeah.
I wanted to, but Tales of Arise took up all my time, and
I hear great things about it.
Yes, that's also nominated for RPG, I think.
It is. I just
Nice,
bought
nice.
that. I have been like wanting to make time for it for so long because it just looks so cool. It just has this like thing about it.
Stylish.
You're like, man, that looks like a cool game to play,
Yeah.
So I bought it, but I haven't played it yet. So, did you guys play Lost Judgment this year?
I played a little bit
yet.
of it. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
A little bit.
But they're always
Jake?
fucking great.
Well, I didn't really like it.
I've only, to be clear, I've
I'm
only
the only
played 2
person that
hours.
doesn't. Okay,
So
right, sure.
I didn't play a lot of it, but I thought it was dope. But I'm so easily impressed by any Yakuza
RPG.
type.
Sure.
Yeah.
Did you like it, Jake?
I did. I
Right.
really liked your video, though. I think.
All right.
Like I was like, okay, he's right. That's fine. Okay, like that's what I
You
do
ruined
when
it.
I watch your videos. After I make my video, I watch your video and I go, okay, all right. Like he's
Oh,
right.
man.
He's right. I'm
This
sorry. I
fucking
suck.
guy.
Okay.
There's one reason that I'm very happy, or there's one reason to be happy that the like ratio or dislike count has been removed from YouTube, and it is my Lost Judgment review, which is a very, very unpopular review, but that's okay. You can't.
But there's a
can't win them all,
skateboard in
so-
this one. How could you?
There is a skateboard in
Hell
this
yeah.
one, so yeah, it's just very awkward to use.
Oh
Like
god.
you
it's
go
a
you
mess.
go up on the sidewalk, and it's like, no, you have to get off now. You're like, but it's a skateboard.
It's like real life.
It's
The
fine.
cops yell at
Yes.
Yeah.
That's right.
The cops
Yeah.
come straight away and yell at you for skateboarding.
Looking at
Sure.
the best fighting category, one anticipated
any of
game
them.
that comes to mind is the Smash Brothers, but it's all Warner Brothers characters.
Oh
and
yeah, what's it
Shaggy's in it.
called?
It's called,
Multiverses.
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 What fucking garbage name is that? But
It is a
It-
garbage.
that-
I like that name.
No.
That's a cool name. I
It's
like
kind
it.
of-
get out. What does it mean? It's too
You know
overused.
exactly what it means.
You're
It's
right. I
multiverse,
do.
and they
I
pit
do. But
them
it's
against-
generic anyway.
It's kind
It
of
means the
generic.
corporations have gotten wind of us enjoying multiple universes of our
Right.
favorite
We
interpretations
should cash in
of
on that.
characters.
It does look great though.
Yeah,
I love them.
like there's actually voice acting from the original
Yeah.
actors, like Nickelodeon All Stars Brawl. Like it feels so dead when you're playing it because there's just nothing from the
voice.
properties and no
Yeah.
voice and no nothing. And like Smash Brothers, a huge part of like why I'm so into it is just how much personality they inject. Like Sora, they just God, he plays just like he does in Kingdom Hearts. It's crazy. But the stages and the music and the voice acting, it's all there, and it
Totally
just brings
agree.
the character to life.
They
and
got
it's such
Kevin
a-
Conroy for Multiverses, didn't
Yeah,
They did.
Nuts.
Yeah, they did.
Why?
So
They did.
cool.
They got the movie Shaggy to play Shaggy.
Matthew
in this
Lillard,
game.
yeah.
yeah.
That's
I
amazing.
mean,
That's
like,
wild.
Now it's
Good
just
for him.
about the gameplay being on point.
It would be
Hopefully
great to see some of that next
Yeah.
week at the Game
For
Awards.
sure.
Is it next week? It is, right? Next
isn't it
Thursday.
December
A little over a
9th?
week.
Next Thursday.
Something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Oh, where did the year go? Oh God.
It's kind of crazy.
I know. I have trouble playing fighting games. I can't do any rapid thumb movement, which is a huge bummer. But I know a lot of people also really loved Guilty Gear this year.
Yes.
I hope. Yeah, I
like
think
the
that
art
might
style.
take it. I think that's the one that I've heard most about this year in terms of fighting games and
People
acclaim.
love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just all over Twitter and like everything, and fighting game fans. Like, will you ever play this? I'm like, I don't play fighting games, sadly, but looking at how cool Guilty Gear looks, I wish I did.
I believe
you.
you.
Yeah. Fighting games are like a vocation, man. You just, it's just like, it's a choice that you make to have that.
It's a
in your
lifestyle.
It's
life.
definitely a community.
It's a
It's a
lifestyle. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, that makes sense. Are there any other games anyone wants to mention?
Let's see.
Yeah. Little
would
Nightmares
say-
2.
Oh, man,
I
we
totally
forgot
forgot about that one.
about
That was
it.
that was an early in the year one.
Ah.
Excellent.
Huh.
Also very good, and that one sucks again. Recency bias because of the amount of hype that there was for that. People were really excited about it, and then it just came and went. It's such a bummer.
Yeah.
I love both those games. They're so good, so creepy, but wonderful. That's a very good shout. God, I don't even know what my top 5 list looks like. I know my top 3, and I know Inscription. It's right up there.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I'm like, don't ask. This is stressful, man.
From most anticipated, which one do you think will win? There's Elden Ring, God of War, Ragnarok, Horizon, Breath of the Wild 2, and Starfield.
You
Of
really have
those-
to ask. I'm so certain I know which game will win this.
Yeah.
It's, well, go on. What do you
It's
think it is? Tell us.
absolutely Elden Ring. There is no way that doesn't get voted out to the moon. As much as I would
would agree.
love God of War Ragnarok to
Yeah.
take it, I'm sure you were too young.
Yes.
I think that there is like, there's just no, you can't compete with FromSoft.
I agree.
Like, what do you?
I think it is going to be Elden Ring.
But even then, Breath of the Wild is like, if we had seen more of it, maybe it could be more of a contender.
Yeah.
Starfield's also pretty opaque. Horizon, I don't think can take it just by virtue of similarity to previous Horizon. Not that it looks that similar, but you know.
I wonder if the fact that people got to actually play Elden Ring through that closed network test, is that going to, make it more of the most anticipated game? Or, I've kind of seen enough of it now where I know I'm going to buy
I think
the thing.
it
Now I'm
helps
gonna...
because it's in
it
current
helps.
conversation.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I mean, even it's been in current conversation like every day, even though they just didn't release a trailer
Yeah.
for 2 years or whatever. Do you know
that
what I
game's
mean?
marketed itself.
FromSoft fans have one purpose in life: to keep it in the conversation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
They
that's
will
the
not be stopped.
They will not rest.
Yeah, I feel like there's no way Elden Ring doesn't win. And
But like, to be fair though, I think we compare the sales of something like God of War, and that's what, like, let's say, is it 20 million units for God of War? How many units has God of War sold?
I don't
right?
know. I would think God of War would have outsold Sekiro.
Oh no.
Yeah.
But no, what I'm saying is I don't know that like FromSoft games sell like in excess of 10 million units or whatever. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but I always remember them selling somewhere between 5 and 10.
I think you're
And then
probably right.
Yeah, and then I think your big Sony exclusives are like 15 to 20, you know?
So God
just
of
in
War
terms of-
sold, it looks like the most recent statistic is over 19.5 million units.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then if we do, like Dark Souls 3 seems like the best guess.
Bloodborne, I'd probably say, would probably
Dark
be
Souls
like
3
the
or Bloodborne.
longest.
So Dark Souls 3 is 10 million copies.
Yeah.
Dark Souls 3 is multi-platform, to be fair.
But it's also
yeah.
not a new IP, which I feel like kind of
Yeah.
cuts it down a bit. Bloodborne, I don't know how to tell how much it's sold. I mean, it says 2 million copies in 2015. Not helpful.
I think it's
Yeah.
sold a few more than that. But
Elden
my point
Ring
is that... Sorry, go, Jake. Yeah.
I was gonna say Elden Ring has the branding power of George R.
That's true.
It's true.
That's
True.
true.
It's
Yeah.
very smart marketing. Yeah, he probably just like penned like wrote 3 names on a napkin and then handed it to Miyazaki. He's like, "That's all I need from you, man. I just need to be able
They're
to stick
just
your
using him
name on
because
the
he's,
box."
the check.
because he's pretty,
Yeah,
you know.
that's right.
He's just there to
Just 'cause
advertise
He's exactly
because
right.
he's hot.
It's the bracelet things that do it,
Yeah.
man. They get us.
The
hot under
ladies
collar.
love it.
It's, they love
No,
it.
you're right that like statistically, in theory, more people have played God of War than have played Elden Ring. But of the voting body for that,
Sure, yeah.
it's still going to be people who have played FromSoft games. And even then, I feel like even if you've never played a FromSoft game before, it's like you have to vote for Elden Ring. It's like you feel
It's such
pressured.
a meme now.
Exactly.
It is a
now.
meme.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
Part of the culture. While I would
I
love
mean,
for God
it's
of War
even like-
Ragnarok to win, please go vote for God of
Same.
War Ragnarok.
Do it.
That'd be great.
I-
Really.
But,
No bias involved for either of us.
Yeah, no, of course not.
No.
But the sequel to Breath of the Wild thing, it would be the closest second, in my opinion. But I don't know. God of War also would be very close. I don't think it would be Starfield. Horizon, I'm excited for that game. I don't think that one.
I think so too. It's those three.
Yeah, I think are the top three.
Yeah, I think the only reason Zelda doesn't take it is because we haven't seen it.
Yeah,
maybe. It is not in current conversation.
But it's also the fact that you haven't seen too much of it that makes you all the more like.
That's true. If you were to literally ask me,
are so good.
I have the most anticipation for it because I haven't seen it.
Right? Yeah. So who knows?
We take the word literally. There's also best esports game, but those are basically ongoing games. Esports athletes, none of whom I know.
Did any of you guys play any mobile games this year?
I did because of the IndieCade jury that I was on. I had to play a few mobile games. Let me see if any of them are on this list.
I played that League of Legends Wild Rift port, if anyone hasn't played that yet. If you guys like League, because I actually like League. So, and it's an incredible port. Like, it's just captures so much of League and it just condenses it down and it's so playable on mobile. So I know it's like League is a massive meme. I mean, I make that joke every week on my show, but at the end of the day, like, it's still a pretty amazing thing to have in your hands and shows you what mobile can be capable of.
And I mean, Arcane really popping off, right? It's really, really hitting hard right now. I don't remember the name of the mobile games that I played, which is devastating.
I've put mobile games on my Game of the Year list in the past. Like, I don't give a shit. Like, if it's if I play it and I like it, I'll put it on my list.
I love Monument Valley.
This year I haven't played
1 and 2. I thought that both of those games are awesome and exclusively mobile. Yeah, there are definitely some great games on mobile. I loved Pokemon Go. I think I had it on my Game of the Year list the year it came out too.
I feel like in this group, you may not have heard about it. It's called Arknights. It's a visual novel / tactics game, and the story's just supposed to be amazing. My brother got me into it, and so that's kind of what I played. I feel like a group of people in the chat might know what I'm talking about. But it's also very gacha based as well. So I'm like, coming back and forth to it.
Yeah, mobile games absolutely have a ton of value. Not arguing against it. But of this list, I mean, I feel like Genshin is going to win of the things that are here.
Easily. Yeah.
Seems pretty
unless
likely.
The league,
How about Raid
the
Shadow Legends?
Unless the league block.
Yeah. So what is League of Legends Wild Rift? What is it? What kind of game is it?
No, it's literally just League of Legends, but mobile. Like, that's it.
Oh.
Yeah, like, but and that sounds like, oh, well, how did they mess it up? And it must be some kind of dumbed down kiddie version or whatever. No, just trust me when you play it. It captures 95% of League of Legends, but they've managed to do it on touchscreen with mobile. It's amazing. It's one of the best proof of concepts for what mobile is capable of. And also, it's not out this year, but I played Diablo Immortals beta twice. I don't know if any of you played it. I know it's cool to hate Diablo Immortal. I get it.
I played it.
You know. But it's a good video game.
I like it.
It just is. You know, I'm going to tell you right now. And when people get their hands on it, they will see for themselves that this is a good video game. So, yeah.
Don't you have phones? I actually
have.
I like it too. I think I played it at the event at that BlizzCon. I think that it may have been before when everyone was mad, and I was like, "Game's pretty good though." Conflicting, but it happens. Alrighty, this was super fun. I feel like we could talk forever. It's not hard to do. Thank you guys for joining me again.
Thank you for having
us. I appreciate it. Should be interesting to see how everything shapes up next week. And if you guys figure out what your game of the years are, let me know. Because we're all still kind of like, weird. Yeah. Ralph, where can people find you?
I am SkillUp, aka ShillUp. I have a YouTube channel. You can Google it and you'll find me. And
anything you're working on right now that you want to?
I'm working on a Deathloop video, which is going to be live next week, as well as another game which I'm not allowed to talk about.
Exciting.
But that'll be live next week.
Yes.
I know what that is, and I'm excited. Jake, how about you?
During the day, you can find me on Game Ranks. I make the Before You Buy videos and a Friday news show every Friday. I've never taken a day off. I'm really tired. And at night, you can find me on my YouTube channel, Jake Baldino. Right now, I'm cooking on a Sam Raimi Spider-Man video. I cried 3 times during the video, and I'm editing around it. It should be pretty good.
Awesome.
Cool.
Nice. I'm so tuning in for that. That'd be freaking awesome.
Young, how about you?
YouTube.com/YongYea, as always. And if you happen to be a casting director, if you go to YongYeaVO.com, you'll find my demo reels and my resume. Great stuff. But mainly, my channel, YongYea.com. Or no, YouTube.com/YongYea. And damn it.
Got extra official.
Yeah. And there's some content coming up.
Cool.
Some that I can't talk about, some that I can't, and yeah.
Excellent. Well, yeah, thank you guys for joining me again. We should do this again sometime.
Absolutely.
Have a great time. It's very fun. And thank you everyone for watching. We'll see you next time.
Later.
See you guys.
YongYea.